Thank you for joining us today. Today we are putting on the Parent and Water Safety class in a digital format. This is presented to you by the Town of Parker Aquatics Department. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about some of the truths behind drowning and water safety. The reason we decided to put this together is to really give parents and caregivers a platform to educate themselves about the statistics of drowning and give some tools and ways to help be a part of the change for this. Unfortunately, children ages 1 to 4 have the highest drowning rates. In 2014, among children 1 to 4 years old who died from an unintentional injury, 1/3 of those died from drowning. That's a pretty alarming statistic that really hasn't gone down over the years. Nearly 80% of people who die from drowning are male. About 1 in 5 people who die from drowning are children 14 and younger. For every child who dies from drowning, another 5 receive emergency department care for non-fatal submersion injuries. And all of this comes from the CDC, and it's just a very alarming statistic and something that you as a parent or a caregiver should really be aware of. While it is important to be aware of all the terrible things that can happen in the water, I think it's more important to be aware of what you can do to prevent those things from happening. So we've come up with a list of things that we as water safety professionals think are the most important for you as a parent or a caregiver, to really give you the tools to protect your child or protect the child you're caring for. Number one, be present, be aware, and be close by. This means make sure you're not under the influence of drugs or alcohol, not on your phone, not reading a newspaper, literally not doing anything else if you have a child you're in the care for in the water. Next, know what to do in an emergency. Learn CPR. Uh, Sometimes you can do everything right and things still just go wrong. So it's very important as a caregiver that you know what to do in an emergency and know how to calmly take care of that to get the best outcome in the event of an emergency. Next, it can happen to you or your family. It's your responsibility to not let it. So don't fall into the statistic of people who think, oh, it'll never happen to me. Unfortunately, it can happen to anyone, including those of us who are water safety professionals. So the best thing to do is just be vigilant. Next is learn to swim and encourage those you know to also learn. Make your children learn to swim, whether it's just learning how to recover to a floating position, learning how to get themselves to the wall. Just life safety swimming is probably the most important thing you can do at a young age. Never swim alone and never allow your children to swim alone. The rules do apply to adults and strong swimmers. So, as a swim instructor, I still don't swim alone. I still will not be in the pool unless there's a lifeguard on duty. You can't predict uh, medical emergencies, so don't try to. Just give yourself that extra layer of protection and don't be alone when you're swimming. Put your non-swimmers in U.S. Coast Guard approved life jackets. You can find the U.S. Coast Guard approved stamp in the back and on the data plate in the life jacket. If it doesn't say U.S. Coast Guard approved, it's not Coast Guard approved. It's pretty easy to find. And then next is be within one arm's reach of your child at all times. Even children who are very strong swimmers still get tired and still are in that higher risk of drowning. So the best thing you can do is just be close by, be paying attention, and make sure you can reach your child at all times. And then lastly, never, ever, ever leave a child to supervise another child. Children cannot supervise children. It is the best thing to put an adult, someone over 16, someone who knows what to do in an emergency and you know isn't going to panic, in charge of children. Don't leave young children to watch other young children. Another really big thing that you can do as a parent or a caregiver and get in the habit of doing is asking your children certain questions. These questions are just going to ensure that your child understands what to do in and around the water. And additionally, you can't always be there, and believe me, I understand that children do things and they get into things really quickly. You turn your back for a split second and they're in something that they shouldn't be. So asking your children and making sure that they can comprehend and understand these questions is one of the best things you can do to make sure that they are safe, even if they do get into the toilet or into a bucket of water that you are using to clean or whatever the case may be. So first, the first few questions we're going to ask to children ages 0 to 5 years old. I'll just go through the questions and the answers and what you're really looking for these. So you want to make sure you're asking these questions to children when they're really little, and explaining to children that, no, water's not safe. No, we don't get in the water all by ourselves. Those types of things. Children can understand and comprehend even before they can speak. So question number 1, should you ever go near the pool without an adult? Obviously, the answer here is no. You want to make sure to tell young children that an adult means a mommy or a daddy or a caregiver. An older sibling does not count. This practice also holds true when swimming and playing around the pool. Adult supervision cannot be overstated. So just make sure, and if they are going near water and you are catching them doing these things, just reiterate this question. Are we supposed to be going near water without a parent? And then just reiterate that question and make sure that they understand that. Question number 2, what happens if you fall in the pool? So this is more of a thinking question. And obviously your nonverbal children who are not verbal yet may not be able to give you a verbal answer, but they may be able to demonstrate what they're supposed to do. The goal should always be to find the nearest wall and exit the pool. Practice returning to the wall, holding onto the side of the pool's edge, and climbing out until they are safely able to exit the pool. So you can practice this in the pool. Teaching your little ones how to get out of the water is imperative. I mean, if they fall in the water and you're not right next to them, you want to know that they have the strength, they have the know-how to get out of the water. So teach them, show them how to do these things. And then third, what should you do if your sibling or playmate fell into the pool? The first time you ask this question, it may be alarming to you because a lot of kiddos are going to say, oh, I'm going to go help them. Oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. In reality, that's not the answer we want. We want these children to go get help. They should not be going in and getting their sibling, cousin, friend, whatever the case may be. The fact of the matter is they're 0 to 5 years old. They are not going to be strong enough to pull another child to the edge of the pool. They will not be able to help. And then now we have 2 children that are not necessarily in the safest position, and we may not be aware of that. So we want to really encourage our children to go get help, go find an adult, go find a bigger person. Children should never attempt to get in and rescue their friend or sibling, even if they are a good swimmer. Assure children they will never be in trouble for going to get help, even if they were not supposed to be by the pool. So you don't want your children to be scared that they're going to get in trouble because they were by the pool. They can't fix it themselves. If somebody falls into the water, just reiterate to them that you're not going to be mad, but that they need to get help all the time. All right, so these next 3 questions we're going to ask to children ages 6 to 14. Obviously, the older they get, the more robust their answers are going to be, and it may seem arbitrary, but obviously in an emergency situation, you want your children, no matter how old they are, to know what to do. So first, what are our family's pool rules? And come up with these rules. Figure out what your rules are for your family. Most kids can remember a simple set of rules. Make sure never swim without an adult is part of the rules. Rules should apply no matter if they're at home, at a friend's house, or elsewhere. So you want your kiddos to be courageous enough to say, no, we can't go in the pool. There's no adults here when they're at their friend's house. You don't want your kids to be breaking into community pools at night, whether they realize they're doing it or not. You don't want kiddos to be doing certain things that will put them in dangerous situations. Next, how do you know someone needs help in a pool? It's very important that they can be able to recognize when people are needing help or if they are getting tired and know what to do in that situation. If they can't help themselves, maybe go get someone else. A misnomer is that drownings are loud and entail violent splashing and yelling. In actuality, drownings are quiet and only take a few seconds. Teach children to recognize that if someone is under the water and unable to breathe for more than 20 seconds, it is a potential water emergency. So if somebody's underwater and they notice someone underwater, teach them to recognize things like that, things out of the ordinary. Someone just slipping under the water during swim practice, someone on the bottom of the pool while they're playing. Those things are very important, and the people who see them frequently are the other children who are under the water, looking under the water. So make sure they're on the lookout for those things that aren't normal. And then the last question is, what would you do if someone needed help in the pool? The answer here is call for help. It's important to teach children to get an adult and or call 911 in emergency. Showing your child how to help from the pool deck by reaching or throwing an object out to the person in trouble is also very helpful, but also teach them never to jump in to help. It could save the lives of everybody involved. So it's really important that you do have some type of reaching or throwing tool near your pool if you do have a pool, or any pool that you're swimming at. Obviously, if we can help people, help whoever's in trouble in the water by throwing a ring buoy or um, handing them a broom handle, something of that nature, rather than getting in the water, that's the best outcome. And this goes for the lake as well. If you're a frequent boater, you want to make sure you have these things to help out, and also by the beach's edge. We want to remind everyone to really talk about water safety at bath time. Unfortunately, bath time can be the most dangerous time in relation to water safety. Um, it's very important to make sure that you have all of your stuff ready before you start that bath, before you put your kiddo in the water. Um, I know it seems like a no-brainer, but we could all use the reminder, even when that water is running, it's really important not to leave your child alone in the bathroom with water running. Um, they can easily fall in. It can only take a second. And like I said in previous slides, drowning is very quiet and happens very quickly. Um, it's really important to speak to children about water safety while they are in the water. This can help them retain safety tips for recall when they are in, on, or around the water at different times. So just teaching these safe habits at home is one of the best things that we can do to make sure that our children are water safe. And then lastly, we want to remind children that water is fun, but it can also be dangerous. So we need to be careful and we need to pay attention when we're around water, but it is okay to have fun in the water and enjoy being in the water and splashing and playing. Wrap things up here today, we did provide a few links here, and I will go over each of these and what they are. But just to review a little bit, the whole goal of this course is just to give parents and caregivers a resource and some tips and tricks to help themselves and their children, or the children that they're caring for, be more safe around the water and in the water as well. So some of the links here, the first one is going to be the Red Cross Water Safety for Parents and Caregivers course. This is a free course offered by the American Red Cross. The course that you just completed is a much more condensed version of that. It is just more streamlined. The Water Safety for Parents and Caregivers course is going to be much more extensive, much more in depth, and is a great tool if you don't feel as confident in your abilities to be around the water with children that you're responsible for. This is also a great tool for babysitters, new babysitters who are going to be going to the pool in the summers. It's a great resource to have them take that. And then next is going to be the hashtag What Are You Doing campaign from Chandler, Arizona. The aquatics division out there has put together a very, very big water safety campaign, and is just a great resource for all of us in the aquatics industry, as well as parents and families who are looking for tips and tools to make sure that they're safe around the water. They also have a really cool water safety bingo rather, game that you can just print off and play with your family. So it's worth taking a look. If you are interested in more drowning information or just statistics in general, the CDC drowning information website has tons of information. It is going to be more US driven rather than worldwide, but this does give you all of the information on drowning statistics over the last few years. And then lastly is going to be the link to the Town of Parker swimming lesson registration forms. Obviously, If you have any questions at all, you're more than welcome to reach out to anybody in the aquatics division. My email is hquaney@parkeronline.org, or feel free to stop into the recreation center and ask for anybody in aquatics. We'd be happy to help you out. Or you're always more than welcome to call at 303-805-3282. The best thing you can do is help your children to learn how to swim and be safe in the water, and just be vigilant and be aware and focused on your children while they are in the water. Thank you for listening, and have a great day.